Welcome back to Scale Out a Guy's Workbench. Today we're working on this repopped 1985 Camaro Z28. I just recently picked this up from Hobby Lobby during their sale. A lot of guys have already seen this on the shelf, and there's been plenty of reviews on this kit. This is basically a snap together kit. It does not list it anywhere on the box, but the number of parts being only 48 should be a clue. It looks like it'll build up into a pretty nice car when it's finished. I'm having flashbacks of the 81 Z28 Camaro that I built on the channel. A lot of you guys liked it, but a lot of you guys did not. That's fine. I'm going to build this anyway, and it'll turn out nice. Now here's the body. There are a few mold lines, like up here in the corners, and there's a little bit of flash. It's very light. That needs to be cleaned up, and of course where they broke it off the, see if I can get that to focus, where they broke it off the tree needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but other than that it's pretty crisp and clean. I don't see any swirl marks. Well, yeah, wait, there's one right there on the roof, but it's real minor. That should cover up pretty nice. And there is, I don't know if the camera's picking that up, there is one on the door here, and I'm not seeing one on this side. It's just on that passenger door. So there's your body. Then there's a couple of small trees. One of them is your seat backs and air cleaner, air filter housing, whatever you want to whatever you want to call it. Here's your, wow, twisted tongue. Here's your 5-spoke mag wheels. On this next tree is your louvered hood and your engine compartment. It's separate. It's going to be nice, so it'd be easy to paint. There's not a whole lot of detail that you have to install. It's already molded right in, so you just have to do a little detail painting. This next one is your chassis. Now here's something that's very similar to the 81 and a couple other vehicles here lately that they've been producing, Revell anyway, is your engine is partially molded into the chassis. I'm not sure if I like that or not. That's going to make it a little bit difficult to detail paint, but we'll get around it. Here is the rest of your interior parts, dash, and top of the engine. Now this does have two separate engine halves that go together, and they're on this tree here. So this kind of all pushes together and then sits down on top of what's in the chassis there. There's your interior tub. It's got a textured floor in it, so that is going to be kind of nice. Separate front and rear suspension, and the separate exhaust system is awesome as well. You know, I like those because it's easy to detail them, and I just like it better. It's better than that molded in exhaust system on the chassis that, you know, you can detail paint it, but it just doesn't look the same. And sometimes it's a pain in the butt to detail paint that, but you know, it can be done. Here's your front and rear glass, tail lights and headlights. And here's something that departs from that 81 Camaro, is it doesn't have plastic tires. This actually has the vinyl tires, and they are solid. No branding, but they do have a decent tread pattern on them. So that is super sweet compared comparatively speaking. Now here's the thing that really sets this kit off, is the big decal sheet. It gives you, let's see, 5 different colors that you can use for decals on this, including the seat backs and bottoms. It even gives you, let me turn it up the right side up, it even gives you the dash gauges. And I'm not sure what that is, a steering wheel cover? If that's what that is, that's the first time I've ever seen one of those in a kit. That's kind of neat. Gives you your side marker lights. I've noticed that there's no decal for the tail lights, so those are going to have to be hand painted, which again is no issue. That's really kind of a no-brainer anyway. And last but not least is the decal sheet. And let me open this up here, get to the meatier parts of the, oh, these things are kind of stuck together. Now it does give you some hints on you know, painting tips and things like that, but nowhere on this instruction sheet does it show where you're supposed to glue anything. Like a lot of times they'll show the little, well, the little glue tube thing or whatever, but I don't see that on these at all. It does give you your painting tips for the taillights and where to put your decals. So another thing I noticed about this kit was that there is no chrome tree included in this kit. So anything that's supposed to be reflective in chrome, you're going to have to either use a Molotow pen for like your mirror surfaces, for your door mirrors, or some bare metal foil, or you can even kind of get away with silver paint or a silver gel pen. Those will work. I think I like the idea of a Molotow pen or maybe chrome foil, bare metal foil for reflective surfaces. I think that would work and look a little bit better than silver paint. But and I think that's the route that I'm going to go. So let's get started. Let me get the little bit of flash that's on these parts. It's hardly anything actually. Let me get started on that. And then we'll get over to the paint booth and lay down some primer and maybe some top coat, and we'll get to building this. So I'll see you in a little bit. Alright fellas, like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of these mold line cleanups and stuff. There is a little bit back here as well. So what I do is I take this old number 10 blade. I've had this thing for I don't know how many years, and it's pretty dull, but it's good for doing things like this. A lot of guys like to use sandpaper, and I do too, but a lot of times I can just kind of scrape those mold lines right off. And sometimes I actually do have to use sandpaper. So I use a little sanding stick here. It's a little finer grit. I know some guys like to use real fine grit paper. I use these to kind of knock down the heaviest stuff. And that usually works pretty well. There is still a little bit of shiny there. What I do when I'm doing this, you can see how the plastic will dull where I sanded. And if there's any low spots, they'll shine. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's just a little tiny spot, like right there, right along there, where that's a low spot, still shiny plastic, and that'll be a dimple in the paint. So I like to kind of sand at it until it's all a uniform dullness, like that. So I got that all off of there. Now I'll go back over that with some finer grit paper before I put my primer down. But I just like to use this fingernail file, emery board, to knock down the heaviest stuff, and then I go back through with like 1500 grit or 2000 grit and sand out the marks that I leave with this. If I tried to do this with a 2000 grit, I would be here all day sanding the same spot. It's just faster and easier to do it this way, and then go through and smooth out the scratches that were left behind. Because this doesn't scratch that deep anyway, it just kind of scuffs it up a little bit. You know, and I don't try to overdo it. I just give it enough to kind of get that spot down. Now this is a little tricky because you got the window mold here and a door mold here, so don't want to sand on that too much, but there is a spot where it looks like it kind of overlapped a little bit. You can see it right there, right in this little spot right there. So try to trim that out a little bit. I'm a little bit more, I don't know, cavalier, I guess you could say, about using that number 10 blade like I just did. I have no fear of that thing cutting me. It's so dull. You saw me just run my finger over it, and it didn't do anything. So if that had been a new number 10 blade, that would have cut me open the way I did that just a little bit ago. So just clean up that edge a little bit. That's just going to have to do right there. There's a little dimple there, but I'm afraid to take much more off of that because it's going to start eating into the detail. And this is another opportunity for me to use that black chrome bare metal foil that I have. I haven't had too many instances where I needed to use that, you know, because older muscle cars don't require it, and you don't get that many opportunities with the newer stuff. They don't make a whole bunch of it, so. But I did like how it turned out on the was that Chevy 1500 that I did. Now I'm not going to use this other side because it's a little bit coarser sanding surface. I'm just going to use this side here because it's not quite as coarse. It's more like a, I don't know, 600 or 800 grit, or maybe even, yeah, probably an 800 grit. I wouldn't say it's 1000. It's a little too coarse for that. Alright, and this side looks pretty good. Let me check the body, see if there's little stuff around the wheel wells here. So anyway, as soon as I get this cleaned up, we're going to move on to the engine. And I'm going to take stuff off the trees, and like the hood, I'm going to put the hood in place before I paint. I know a lot of guys ask me how I do that and not have the hood stick to the body. I don't really have a clear answer on that. I don't know how I do that. I don't do anything weird or special or anything of the sort. I just put it on the body. I tape it in place so it's not flopping in the breeze when I spray the paint on it, and it just doesn't stick. Now, I don't know what other guys are doing when that hood happens, when it happens to them where the hood sticks to it. I don't know if they're putting an excessive amount of paint on, or maybe it's the type of paint. I don't have a clue, but I generally don't have any issue with that. I've only had, out of all the years I've been doing this, I have only had like maybe 1 or 2 hoods stick closed, and when that's happened, I've taken a new number 11 blade and just very gently cut down the seam of the hood, and that opens it right up. I don't go heavy on the paints. I've never really have. I've seen some guys say that when they buy the small cans of Testors paint, that they use the entire can on one build, and I've never done that. I've never applied that much paint. That's just me. That's just the way I do it. There's just a little rough edge there. I'm trying to knock it down. A little bit in that. Yeah, I'm going to have to use the rougher side of this to smooth that out. It's pretty rough. There we go. Now it's still showing where that mark is, and hopefully that's... I'm not feeling anything there. It's smooth. It's just a different color for some reason. And it was a little bump right there, so that's gone now. I've seen posts in Facebook groups about guys asking about, do you wash your model bodies before you paint? I can't say that I've ever done that. I usually just take the body like this, clean up whatever rough spots there are on it, and I go straight to the paint booth. I've not had any issues in the past with that kind of situation. And knock on wood. Okay, I got my body on the paint stand. That's all set for primer. I do want to attach the hood, which is here. Just gently pull this off because I don't want it to tear out. I've had them tear out before and leave big holes in the part. I just do the bending back and forth plastic fatigue until it snaps off. Now it does leave a little bit of a rough spot there, but it's not a gigantic hole. Alright, that's got it. My little assistant was in my lap earlier, so he transferred a little bit of fur to me, and it's transferring to the body part, so I'm going to have to be mindful of that when I go to spray my primer, because last thing I want is pet hair. He loves sitting in my lap though, and I can't deny him. You know, you don't take a 17-pound Siamese cat and tell him no. But really, he is just a big teddy bear. So I'll just have to spray that off with some air. Okay, there we go. I may have to prop that up or something to make sure I get good coverage with the primer. Or I may just go without and just clamp that off to something. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I should have just left it on the tree now that I'm thinking about it. It'll be fine. No big deal. There we go. The exhaust system, I think I'll leave on the tree, but I want to paint that separately, a different color, and I need to clean those off first. Any more? Nope. Alright, let me get the rest of this done. I don't want to drag this on for too long. And then I'll see you at the paint booth. Alright fellas, I've got quite a bit of the sub-assemblies done. The chassis is all ready to go. I'm starting work on the interior. I got to do the decals on the seats yet, and on the dash, and some of the, well, all of the suspension. Let me give you a little hint. I know I didn't show this earlier before I painted this, but let me show you this. This is a little trick that I picked up along the way, kind of the hard way. What I do before I paint these type of axles where the wheels just snap on, I take a little bit of just regular Scotch tape and you know, just regular old Scotch tape, and I'll take a little piece and I'll twist it around that pin there, and I do that on each side. It comes right off real easy, and that makes it easier for when you go to put your wheels on. There's no paint or anything like that that gets in the way. There is a little bit inside the hole here, but it's very minimal, and so this you know, eliminates the buildup of paint on these pins, so the wheels just snap on really easy. I forgot to show that earlier before I started painting. You may have seen it when I painted them, and I just forgot to mention it. But that's just a little tip there. You can give that a try. It works really well. And alright. Well, I sanded the tires. If you've seen any of my other videos, you see how I do that. I have a, oh, sorry, didn't mean to bump the camera here. But if I have a couple of deep well sockets that I keep here on the bench, and these tires fit right on there. And this is a 7/16 socket, so they fit right on there. And then I put these in my drill and spin them, and I use a somewhat coarse fingernail file, emery board, sanding stick, whatever you want to call it, just to knock down just a little bit of the shininess off the tread. It makes it look like it's actually been rolling down the road, and it also takes off any high spots that might be on the tire. So like I said, I keep a couple of different size sockets here for various size tires, and I just throw them on there. It takes just minutes to sand those tires down. Alright, let's get back to work here. Like I said, I got some decal work to do on the interior, and the chassis for the most part is all finished. Just the suspension work, and there we go. So let's get started. Let's get it finished up here, and we'll see how it goes. Alright fellas, you've seen that I've already put down the top color. Now I'm going to do the running boards, I guess you could call it, trim, whatever you want to call it. I got that all taped off, as you can see. Oops, that pulled loose. I'm going to have to re-stick that down. As you can see, there's a lot of tape involved to just do this bottom portion, but I'm all set to go, and let's get over to the paint booth. Let's get this bottom part sprayed and continue on. Alright fellas, we're getting into the kind of the home stretch here. I wanted to show you how I did the tail lights, because I know some of you will ask, and so I'm going to tell you. First off, for the reflective background, I put some bare metal foil in where the tail lights go. The way I did the tail lights is I used a little Tamiya X27 clear red, Tamiya X26 clear orange to do the brake lights turn signals. I used a little bit of flat black paint for this section here, and I'm going to use leave the reverse lights clear. But to get the little hatch lines, little honeycomb lines, whatever you want to call those, mosaic lines if you will, I used a Sharpie ultra fine point marker, and that tip is just big enough to fit in those little indentations that they molded into the lens. So that's how you get the lens that looks like that. So I just finished up the painting. I may have to do a second coat. I see a little bit of light spots in there, and once we get that done and that paint dries, we'll get those installed. The rest of the body, I did the black chrome around the window frame and the door frames. I don't know if you can see that or not. And I got to do another, I don't know, I'm not real happy about how this is turning out up here, but I'm probably going to have to put another coat of black paint there. And I also did the mirror inserts with bare metal foil. So we're just about done with this. Just letting some paint dry. Like I said, I still have decal work to do. Whew, I'm not looking forward to that. But the headlights, as you can see, the backgrounds are painted. I'm going to have to probably put some foil or silver paint in there as well. I forgot to do that earlier, so I'm going to have to let everything kind of set for a little bit and dry up, and we can finish up. I'm thinking I'll see you at the final. Welcome back to the final on this Revell 1985 Chevy Camaro Z28. First off, let me say that this may be a snap together kit, but it's still a model kit after all. This kit is in 1/24 scale. A lot of guys don't like the 24 scale. Some do. Some prefer the 25th scale. To me, I don't care either way. They all go together just fine. This kit really built up quite nice, and it went together with zero issues. Well, with one exception, the decals. I found that the decals, well, they took an extended amount of time in the water before they would release from the paper, and then when you placed them on the body, you had to have them pretty much where you wanted them almost immediately after you put them on the body, because they would adhere to the body really fast. So it was kind of difficult to get them on and get them straight before they kind of set in. So when you build yours, be prepared for that. You know, make sure that you kind of have an eye on where you want them to go before you let them go, because there's very little moving them around after they sit down on the body. Now this kit, I believe, has a lot of potential for being just a snap kit. The way the engine bay was engineered, for instance, that would allow you to do an engine swap to, say, something like a Tuneport 5.7 or maybe an LS engine. I believe there's enough room under the hood to do that, and you could also do a tire and wheel swap as well to change the appearance. Because the suspension is all kind of independent from the chassis, you could do things to modify the ride height and angles too. So the possibilities are endless with this. So if you've been putting off buying this kit because of the price, wait for it to go on sale to get it. That's what I did. I waited for the 40% off sale at Hobby Lobby. I didn't pay $34.99 for that kit. You know, I got it for 40% off. I don't believe you'll be disappointed when you get it finished. It really does look pretty sharp. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. It helps the YouTube algorithm to share my channel's content, to help the channel grow by showing all my content to new viewers. If you have any questions or comments, please write those in the comments section below, and I'll be happy to respond as soon as possible. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, or you can drop me a line at scaleautoguy@gmail.com. If you want more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and the little bell icon. Wow, the little bell icon, so that you're notified of any new videos that I post. Thanks for watching Scale Auto Guy's Workbench, and I'll see you on the next build.